Time for the Hot Topic Buzz. President Trump dominating the 2024 GOP presidential nomination straw poll at this weekend's Turning Point USA Student Action Summit. A whopping 78.7% of attendees say they'd like to see Trump at the top of the ticket in the next election. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis coming in a distant second, just 19%. Nancy, what do you make of this?
Well, I think we all better strap in, Dagan. It looks like he's running, and it's going to be contentious. You can't argue with many of the policies that the president put in place, but it was an exhausting time for many of us that live and breathe the news. So, we'll see what happens. I think the folks in Washington are trying to do their best to make sure President Trump doesn't run. It's just so interesting that the young people are that enthusiastic about him.
Brandon, I have people stopping me in the street in New York City asking me if President Trump is running because they want him to run because again, policy over personality. But how do you see it?
Well, I think it's pretty likely that he's going to run here. What he has is a very strong base of support. His core supporters are absolutely passionate about Donald Trump and very much want him to run in 2024. The problem is his favorability numbers across the board aren't even that much better than Biden. So in a hypothetical matchup against Joe Biden, he looks pretty strong. But when you start to pit him against other hypothetical candidates, his numbers aren't as good as you'd like somebody to be at this point, especially with the name ID that somebody like Donald Trump has. He's so divisive. People love him. People hate him. There aren't a whole lot of spaces in between there. So I think this is good news for Trump in that his base is very, very strong, as we all knew. But the question is, what about those independent, moderate voters that swing elections?
Right. And as you heard last week, the Democrats, the January 6th committee is planning to hold another hearing when they come back from summer break. So that's certainly part of their calculation, is to damage President Trump as much as they possibly can ahead of the midterms, and also trying to really smear the entire Republican Party. But Nancy, before we go, Ron DeSantis, the governor down in Florida, is sending stimulus checks to lower-income Floridians, which, again, is a level of moronicy that you see out of Gavin Newsom. We're going to fight inflation by fueling inflation with stimulus checks, regardless of who you're sending them to. Again, that's pandering. Well, actually, it's worse than pandering. You're just handing out money to people.
Right. And it's inflationary, as you point out, Dagan. So I wasn't aware that DeSantis government was sending out checks. I was aware California's $23 million that are going to get $1,000 and then some. I mean, the research shows, and Alicia Finley pointed this out, that it discourages work and it encourages spending. And it does exactly the opposite of what Washington thinks. I mean, listen, these people should have to go to a course in economics before they even get sworn in.
So I encourage people to read that column because I printed it out. Nancy Tingler. It's called The High Cost of Free Money, and it was a very hardcore research report that was done by scientists at Harvard and the University of Exeter. They found cash to low-income people led them to spend more and work less. So, yes, Ron DeSantis down in Florida is sending checks, $450 per child, to lower-income families in the state. 59,000 families will qualify for the money. So, again, bad policy.
Right.
It's on the left coast and on the East Coast in the South. Coming up, what's it worth?